Hey Mark, this is Angel at Multiclass North America. This is a demonstration on how we're going to be cutting these spider stage cables. Okay, so first what we're going to do is we're going to use the welding torch, which is specified on the welding gun. It's red, it says welding. This is a cutting gun, it's green. The only difference is the tips. The welding tip has a bigger hole, and then the cutting tip has a more narrower, finer hole. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna connect the torch. So once it's connected, the second thing you wanna do is connect your ground. This is what the ground cable looks like. It's a clamp. You connect it to the front of the inverter. Now the reason we're using the ground is because we're going to be using mode 2 today. Mode 2 is the equivalent of arc welding, so you need the ground for that. So once it's nice and screwed on, you can ground your work. Okay, and before we turn on the machine, we want to fill our torch. We're going to be using 50% alcohol, which you can pick up at any store. So I already have the 50% alcohol in there. I'm going to be using a syringe that comes with their Multiclass package. Pretty much 3 ounces is what it takes to fill it up. So you want to inject it until the liquid comes out the tip. Once it comes out the nozzle, it means that's full, so it's ready. I already had some in there from earlier. Close it up, clean it, make sure your tip and your gun has no alcohol on it. Okay, now we're ready. We're going to turn on the machine. So before we start, we're going to need to set our free movement to the start button on the back of the torch to 1/8 of an inch. Counterclockwise being to tighten it and clockwise to loosen it. So once you have your 1/8 of an inch movement, you're ready to start your torch. So what you do is you press the on button, and then you press the button on the torch. The start button, and it should start. Once it starts, you have to let it warm up. It'll turn off a couple times, but once you get it warmed up, it'll be constant. So once your torch is nice and steady, your torch flame, you want to set your inverter to mode 2 by pressing the mode 2 up button. So once you have the mode 2 going, we want the voltages to be at 220. So using the start button on the torch, we're going to turn it clockwise to turn the voltage up to 220. Once we have it set, we can begin cutting. So what we're going to do is we're going to warm up the cable first. Just hover the torch around the cable until it turns orange. Once it's nice and orange, bring the torch to the cable around 2 centimeters apart and begin cutting at a steady pace. Now we want to shape the tip by holding the torch up to the tip and getting our nice, smooth, curved shape. And once we do that, we're done. As you can see, the tip is nice and curved. So we're going to try it a couple more times on this table. As you can see, the tip is nice and rounded. Now one more time. And that's how you get the results. And that's all it takes.